the American dream. To his last breath, he'll always be a soldier.
Heard on great radio stations all across America. It's the National Defense with Randy Miller and Jerry Newberry.
The National Defense is made possible by Ford, Go Further, by the Home Depot, more saving, more doing, by ADT Security, more than just a line in the sand, by VSP. For more information on how VSP can help you with your corrective vision needs, visit their website at VSP.com. By Morgan Stanley. Discover how they can help you reach your long-term financial goals at morganstanley.com. By the Wounded Warrior Project, serving those who sacrificed for over 15 years. Find them online at woundedwarriorproject.org. And by Farmers Insurance. At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com.
This is the National Defense, Randy Miller and Jerry Newberry. And Jerry, as always, our dedication.
Hey, this show's for you, the men and women serving in our military. It's for the millions of veterans out there, and it's for all their families. We're here for you. We love you. God bless you.
Ken Harbaugh is our guest here on the National Defense. Ken, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you for being on. This is fantastic. Of course, now, Team Rubicon, we've had so many representatives on from Team Rubicon in the past, and we so believe in what Team Rubicon does. And you are the president of Team Rubicon Global. Is that correct?
That's right, Randy.
Yeah. How long have you been in that position now?
I moved from Team Rubicon USA to Team Rubicon Global back in 2015. Stepped down last year, believe it or not. People think I'm crazy, but to run for U.S. Congress. So someone else has the reins now, but I still follow the organization closely and am as proud as ever of what they're doing.
Well, and we'll get into how crazy you are here in just a little bit, Ken. But Team Rubicon, is just a sensational organization. And just for the people that don't know, Team Rubicon comprised of veterans and active duty military, right?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah. And so these, every time there's a crisis, every time there's a catastrophe, a major accident, whatever, these guys rush in and provide support and help and rescue. And just the idea of bringing veterans together and giving them this purpose, just in itself, that's a great idea. But can you give us an idea of some of the things that you guys have been involved with?
Absolutely. And we're over 50,000 strong now. So
wow.
This started out, I know, it's unbelievable to watch its growth when you consider that it started with just a couple of Marines and medics heading down to Haiti in 2010 after that massive earthquake.
Yeah.
And has grown now to 50,000 plus veterans and first responders on standby to deploy around the world whenever disaster strikes. It's truly humbling to see its success. As part of Team Rubicon, I've deployed to the Philippines in the wake of the strongest storm in recorded human history, Typhoon Haiyan. We were doing blue tarp surgeries on literally 2 school desks shoved together, working under blue tarp held up by bits of string. One of my last missions was to a refugee camp for Iraqis and Syrians displaced by ISIS. And, of course, we run operations all throughout the United States. We've run well over 250 of them. We've got 50,000 vets at the ready whenever disaster strikes to go in and help those victims on the worst days of their lives.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, Ken, your screening process is very intense. My co-host, Jerry Newberry, who's on assignment this week, he applied to be a volunteer for Team Rubicon. And I mean, you guys, background checks, I mean, there were so many things that were involved in that. And I think he's still waiting to get on the list, and rightfully so.
We set a pretty high bar. And
Yeah.
that is because we ask a lot of our members, and it's not just a screening bar. More importantly, it's the training requirements. We're not going to send you into a disaster environment unprepared, and we're not going to send you on your own. The organization is all about organization. It's all about applying those lessons we learned in the military to what normally would be a totally chaotic environment, and providing some order, providing some structure, so that when everything is falling apart around you, you keep your head, you have your team, you know your mission. I remember dropping into the Philippines in the immediate hours after that storm, and it looked like utter chaos. I mean, almost nothing left standing in the wake of that storm. Typhoon Haiyan had sustained winds of 196 miles an hour, sustained. The gusts were approaching 250. But you go in there with a team of military vets who have been in environments like that, and you appreciate something very quickly, that veterans have an innate ability to function in chaotic environments, to solve problems with a bare minimum of resources, to be thrown onto a team at the last minute and still be able to get something done. It really is our secret weapon in these post-disaster environments. It's that veteran with that aptitude for working in a tough situation like that with other vets.
Yeah, we're talking to Ken Harbaugh here, past president of Team Rubicon here in the National Defense. And Ken, you talk about these chaotic and emergency situations, especially your ability and others' ability from the military to assess the situation. That's a lot of times we've talked to a lot of people that are involved in catastrophes. That's the first thing that you have to do in an orderly fashion, if that's even possible. But I would imagine that's probably one of the key ingredients to what you guys bring, right?
Absolutely. Prioritization. I remember arriving at disaster zones and being almost, but not quite, overwhelmed by the scale of the devastation, and then very quickly realizing what you got to do first. And if it's a medical mission, of course, the first thing you got to do is stop the bleeding. Mm-hmm. And then you can worry about the mass graves that are too close to the wells, as we saw in the Philippines, or the buildings that are about to fall over. But step one is stop the bleeding. A lot of disaster response is about prioritization.
How do you help, on a daily basis, Ken, how do you help yourself from jumping into every situation you see and making it better? I mean, seriously, you're walking by something, it's a construction worker, they're doing something wrong, and does it take some restraint just to go, wait, let me fix that?
Well, one of the funny things, it's almost become like a cliche on the Team Rubicon message boards, is the Team Rubicon members who just find themselves, either by virtue of their commitment to service or their training, pulling people out of houses on fire, or when this has happened to a few of us, a flight attendant says, we need a medic, and a Team Rubicon member is the first to stand up and say, I'm here to help.
Sure.
With 50,000 of us, it now comes down to just the law of large numbers on a weekly basis. We got a Team Rubicon gray shirt. That's what we call our volunteers, helping out in a crisis situation like that. And I know it's never funny, but just the sheer repetition of that is something of an inside joke.
Oh, that's incredible. So you get into something very dangerous like Team Rubicon, and then you jump into something more dangerous like politics. What?
I guess.
I mean, so you're running for Congress in Ohio, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you won the primary. To me, I don't care who you are. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. The guy that led Team Rubicon is the guy. If I'm living in Ohio and I know that there's a chance that, Ken Harbaugh is going to represent me, I'm in. I mean, I know it takes a little more criteria than that, but what has the response been?
Well, that is the case we're making, but I will level with you and say that when I told my Team Rubicon buddies and my Navy buddies that I was doing this, that I was leaving the best job I had ever had. I mean, at Team Rubicon Global, I wasn't just the president of the organization. I got out there on the front lines. I went back to wildland firefighter training. I got my EMT cert. I loved the kind of work it let me do, getting out from behind the desk, and the thought that I was going to leave that to go join the swamp really surprised a lot of my buddies. And they asked, are you crazy?
Right. What are you doing?
And my response to them, honestly, Randy, is to talk about the disasters in my own backyard. I talk about the opioid crisis, which we are living through ground zero here in the Ohio 7th of the national opioid epidemic. And going back to this number one rule in disaster response, stopping the bleeding, the arterial wound in my district is this opioid epidemic.
Yeah, well, across the country. I mean, it's everywhere, right?
It is everywhere, and it makes no distinction between Democrats or Republicans and who it's killing. And if anything, if there's sort of a driving thrust of this campaign, it's setting aside that partisanship. Our campaign motto from day one has been country over party, and it's not something we came up with for political reasons. It's how I've lived my life. I grew up in a military family and then joined the Navy. And you look at something like the opioid epidemic, which doesn't care one bit about the politics of the people it's killing, and yet we have a political system that is so divided it can't get anything meaningful done on this. And I compare that to how we operated at Team Rubicon, where we could not have cared less about the politics of that family we're pulling off of that roof in Houston.
Yeah, Ken, here's the thing, too, and I just don't understand it. You know, you mentioned the opioid crisis, which needs to be addressed immediately. And yet I read Time magazine today. You know what they're talking about? The big problem in the world? The vanilla shortage. There's a vanilla bean shortage.
I missed that one.
Are you kidding me?
Sounds like an epic crisis.
Yeah. Team Rubicon, go.
That's right. Go get those vanilla beans. I don't think so.
Well, and that's the kind of thing that certainly we do need is some common sense and some some people not caring about the politics and just fixing the problem, because there's just, I mean, I don't care, like you say, you're Republican, Democrat, whatever, it just needs to be fixed. And there's so many of those types of things. And Ken, thank you so much for the time today, man. Thank you for your service and for what you've done with Team Rubicon and for truly making a difference in the world.
Thank you, Randy, and you keep up the good work as well. Pleasure to be on.
Well, listen, when you get elected, we want you back on.
Deal.
All right. We'll see you later. Thank you, Ken.
See ya.
We'll be right back with the National Defense right after this word from Farmers Insurance. When you're dealing with life's ups and downs, it helps to know the ins and outs of insurance. Farmers Insurance has been sharing practical insurance knowledge for more than 89 years. At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
How do you thank the millions of men and women who have fought so bravely for our country over the years? At the Home Depot, we think it takes more than words. We believe the best way to show gratitude is to do gratitude. The Home Depot Foundation is committed to veterans and their families, improving their homes and their lives. Since 2011, we've invested $160 million to veteran causes and impacted over 26,000 veteran homes. By 2020, we'll grow that investment to $250 million. From simple wheelchair ramps to complete home makeovers, transitional housing, community support, we consider it a duty and a privilege to serve senior, wounded, and homeless veterans the best ways we know how. After all they've given us, it's the least we could do. $250 million by 2020. Doing more for veterans. Doing gratitude. The Home Depot. More saving. More doing.
Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller. Time now for a brand new money brief from Morgan Stanley. And with us this week and for the next few weeks, Senior Vice President, Wealth Manager, and former Army officer and West Point graduate, Peter Perez. Pete, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Hey, doing good. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, we've been talking about financial literacy, and it's been great. It's been so helpful to our listeners. And to that end, can we get down to basics? Talk about saving, planning, investing. It's so complicated.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. If you look at money in its simplest form, it's a medium of exchange,
yep,
a store of value, and a unit of account. Now think about it. You earn money in exchange for your service. You can count or measure how much money you've earned, as well as account for how much something costs. And finally, you can save your money to store its value for future use.
I've never thought of money in such simple terms.
Yeah, money's actually pretty simple when you think about it.
Okay, well, you said money was a medium of exchange, a store of value, a unit of account. Explain to me what you mean by a store of value.
Well, at Morgan Stanley, we see the store of value element as a pyramid.
Like in the ancient Egypt.
Exactly, but in more ways than one. So at the base of the pyramid, we earn it or make it, right?
Yep.
Think about paychecks, budgeting, maximizing your benefits.
Right.
So once you earn it, you want to protect it for your family. Think about making sure you keep good credit, you have insurance, and you plan for the unexpected. And remember, you want to protect the value of what you've already earned.
I think I see where you're going with this.
You're a quick learner.
Oh, yeah.
So next, you want to save money. Set aside some money for a rainy day, say for retirement, say college, what have you. You can do it a little at a time each month. Remember, money is a store of value. So, by saving, you're storing the value of your work or service. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the squirrel gathering and the acorns and putting them away for the winter.
You got it, but not quite.
What, the squirrel gathered and saved the acorns, right?
Yeah, you got it, but one big difference. So unlike the squirrel's acorns, your savings can grow. You can build wealth through investment in various diverse assets, among them stocks, bonds, and the like. And by doing this, you not only have the money you've saved, but that money actually does its own earning instead of your having to work for it.
Okay, now I got it. So through earning, protecting, and saving money, is there an opportunity to grow your money?
I couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you for the privilege of sharing this with our troops.
Hey, Peter, thank you so much. Peter Perez is with us, and we'll be back next week with a brand new money brief from Morgan Stanley right here on the National Defense.
This radio program does not provide individually tailored advice. It has been prepared without regard to the individual financial circumstances and objectives of persons who receive it. The strategies discussed may not be suitable for all individuals. Morgan Stanley recommends that individuals independently evaluate particular strategies and encourage them to seek the advice of a financial advisor. The appropriateness of a particular strategy will depend on individual circumstances and objectives. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Diversification does not guarantee a profit or protect against loss in a declining financial market. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC.
Home is not just something you can see or touch. Home is a feeling. It's the place where you feel safe to have those little moments that mean everything. At ADT, we believe that feeling should always be there. Whether it's at your house or your business, we help keep you safe so you can have those moments that make you feel at home. Wherever you are.
A big change is coming to your walls with red, white, and blue savings now at the Home Depot. $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets of our best interior and exterior paints. Even better, you'll also get a satisfaction guarantee. That's money in your pocket and confidence in your project. Come in now for our best prices of the season on paint, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Offer valid through July 4th via mail-in rebate. U.S. only. See store for details.
Welcome to F-150 Radio, the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar. Dean, go.
I'm all about lowering the bar, like I only brush my teeth on Monday.
The new Ford F-150 lineup raises the bar by being number one in towing, payload, and torque. It can make you more capable.
Capable schmapable.
The new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
When properly configured, classes full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
This is the National Defense.
Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller, and you know her from, you could know her from anywhere. I mean, Basic Instinct, to Catwoman, to Casino. Sharon Stone is our guest on the National Defense. Sharon, how are you?
Just terrific. Thank you. How are you?
Great. It's just that voice. How much of your career has just been that voice?
Well, I have done a number of books on tape. And I've done some performances. I did Peter and the Wolf with the symphony.
Oh, wow.
So I have done quite a few different kinds of vocal performances over the years. I did the movie Ants.
Oh, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. And I did a series a long time ago called Harold and the Purple Crayon, which was a children's series.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, you just got one of those unmistakable, beautiful voices. And we're glad that we've got it here on the National Defense. And now, you know, we tell a lot of inspiring stories on this show, Sharon. And I think your story right now is so inspirational to so many people. If we could get into that just a little bit.
Oh, the story of my brain hemorrhage you're talking about?
Yes. Well, no. That's the beginning of the story. The story of your brain hemorrhage and anything like that in your business, you might as well be dead, right?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, I've worked with wounded warriors, and I think that, you know, I have a big understanding of that because I had such a very difficult injury myself. I had a ruptured vertebral artery and a massive stroke in 2001, which took me way out of my life and my career, and I had to learn to walk, talk, read, write, and everything all over again, which I'm sure many soldiers have had to face huge catastrophes in their lives.
Absolutely.
From their service and from being wounded in service. And so it's always my pleasure to talk to soldiers that have faced injury or are dealing with the injuries of their compatriots. It's a very big thing, and it's a big thing to go through any kind of injury that takes you years to recover from or leaves you with some disability. In my case, I have a brain seizure disorder, and I've had to, you know, have my jaw and my teeth reconfigured. I'm just in the process of having surgery on my nose. You know, there's endless things that happen when you have a major injury, and it's just a long slog. Right. And I know that many soldiers don't have enough insurance to go through all of that. And I've been outspoken about the need for better insurance for our soldiers, better armaments, more armored cars in the field, all of the things that are really so needed. I find it offensive to send soldiers in the field without the appropriate amount of armored cars and appropriate amount of armored vests. And I just feel that we have to take better care of the people we're asking so much from.
Yeah, you know, and well said, Sharon. We're talking to Sharon Stone here on the National Defense. We went into parts of Afghanistan embedded with the troops a few years ago. And when we got there, everything that you're talking about happened. They didn't have enough food. They didn't have enough weapons. They didn't have enough of a lot of things. So when we got back, we were able to talk directly to some people who could make those things happen. And that's one of the greatest memories I have of the show, because, until you see that and you know what's going on, you just don't understand. They're out there by themselves.
I was greatly offended of the way that we got into war in 2001. Yeah. That we got into it in a flash of upset and not in a thoughtful, planned way that protected the fine men and women that went into the service for us. And I don't think it's appropriate to send men and women into the field without protecting them.
And that just underscores the dedication that these men and women have that are in the service. I mean, they can't say no.
It underscores their dedication, but it does not underscore our protection of their dedication.
True. No,
a lot of the young men and women that go into the service because we don't have enough funding for further education, and they go into the service because they're in communities that can't afford to pay for their education. They go in because they're below the poverty line. Their only way forward, and they need to get an education, and it's their way through. And we have to admire and respect that. And we have to admire and respect that to the level that we are protecting those fine and respected people who want to push their lives through and do it by giving service to our country.
And we talked about that inspirational aspect of your life, Sharon, as far as coming through your medical situation, and then you just finished up a series on at HBO called Mosaic.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, that's coming all the way back. That's coming all the way through.
It was a big journey, and it took me about 16 years.
Wow.
To get to the point where I felt I could take on a role that I could shoot 20 or 30 pages of dialogue a day and be ready to memorize and be on my feet and together to do that day after day.
Yeah, but I was just going to say, I think the other part of that is the fact that that people were offering you roles again.
Well, it is hard to get back. When you're at the front of the line and something happens to you, and you recover, you're not just back at the front of the line. You're at the end of the line.
Right.
And you have to work your way forward again. And your previous track record means so little.
Mm-hmm.
It means you can maybe get a meeting, but it certainly doesn't mean you're going to get a job. And I have a lot of thoughts and care for all the hardworking men and women that come back and don't know where they're going to go and don't know what they're going to do. And I feel that we have such an organized system for how we're going to take them out of their jobs and take them out into the field. But we don't have an organized system about how we're going to bring them back into their lives. I don't feel that that's really squaring us up with the people who are dedicating themselves to us.
You're exactly right. We had Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs on the show, and he's got a foundation for veterans, and he put it in a very succinct way when he said, there's boot camp for when you're going to war. There's no boot camp for when you're coming back.
Well, not at all. And there should be a preferred hire.
Yes.
For service people.
Absolutely.
And there is, in fact, seemingly less preferential care for service people.
We just talked to the president of Paralyzed Veterans of America, and had that exact same discussion, because when you're disabled, it's even worse, and nobody wants to hire you. And
that's the thing. And when we sent people out into this snap decision war in 2001, 60% of our soldiers didn't have insurance or armored vehicles or vests or anything. That's more than half of the people that were going out to serve the nation.
Right.
So we've got to understand that we're going to be sending home all kinds of wounded veterans without a plan.
Yeah, and that's what we try to do on this program, is to raise those concerns and kind of solicit that support in terms of people being more aware and being more involved. And you've been involved in social issues and humanitarian efforts all your life, haven't you?
Yes, and raising money for Navy SEALs, and trying to help people have some understanding of what it really takes. Because I'm not a proponent of snap decision going to war. I think that should be the last possible choice.
Absolutely.
And I think no one feels that way more than a soldier in the field.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's, when you talked about your work with Wounded Warriors, we just partnered with them officially a couple of weeks ago. So they are
excellent.
A regular member of the National Defense Radio Show, and could not be more proud about that.
Good. I think that's so good, because we look at people willing to give their all, and then we give a half-assed hello when these people return. And I just don't think that's a fair exchange. I think we have to put these people on a preferred hire list. We have to remember to thank these people for their service. We have to stand up when they stand up for us.
Absolutely. So well said. We're talking to Sharon Stone here on the National Defense. Can we talk about your career for just a little bit?
Thank you.
Who is the best actor you've worked with?
Well, the best living actor I've worked with, of course, is Robert De Niro.
Who was on this program 4 weeks ago?
I really admire Bob, and he's taken such an outspoken position lately, and I have to say that I admire him for speaking out his views, and because he's a very shy person, and he's saying what he really truly believes, and I think that takes a lot of courage and a lot of grit.
Right.
And not concerning himself about what will happen to him or his career.
I think he's pretty well set, don't you?
Well, I think he's, I have said things and then not worked for, a term of a president. You have to be cautious.
So you can actually point back and say, I didn't work during that presidency. I didn't work during that presidency.
It can happen.
Wow.
And you have to be cautious, because when you say something against the person who holds great authority,
sure,
a person can crush you. And I think that when people stand up to power and say what they believe for the betterment of the greater good, I think it's a very courageous thing. And I think that we're at a time in the world when things are just reaching such extraordinary chaos.
Right.
That we have to be careful about being sheep. And we have to say yes to things that are correct, and we have to say no to things that we know are intrinsically and basically wrong for the greater good.
I don't think anybody's ever going to call Sharon Stone a sheep.
Well, I hope not. I really hope not, because I believe in the greater good, and I believe in humanity, and I believe in the goodness that we share. And I believe that it doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as love is your strongest pursuit in your heart, and
Absolutely.
that you pursue that without unkindness to others.
So when you did Basic Instinct, did you have any idea how big that was going to be?
Well, when I read it, I knew it was a spectacular script.
Yes.
And I knew it was a very edgy part.
Yeah, because a lot of actresses turned that down, right?
Yes. Like 12 or 13 actresses turned it down, luckily for me. But Michael Douglas was already set in the part. And Paul Verhoeven was already set to direct. And the script was already magnificent.
Right.
And they already had a fantastic cinematographer and a big budget from an A studio. So, and they had a terrific set designer.
Sharon, listen, I just thank you so much for taking the time today.
Well, I'm a very grateful person to be able to live in a free country, and I'm very grateful to the men and women that risk so much for us. And I have such compassion for them and for what they go through, and tremendous empathy for them, for the suffering that they have to endure. And I just want them to know that having gone through a major crisis, I understand what that means, and that I feel compelled to continue to try to be helpful in that area.
Well, thank you so much. And this is, just consider this an open invitation for you or any one of your friends that want to come on the program. We would love to hear from them. Love to hear back from you.
Thank you. And I just want to send my kindest and most loving regards to the men and women in the field, and let them know that they're constantly in our thoughts and in our prayers.
You have been fantastic. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
We'll be right back on the National Defense right after this word from Farmers Insurance. When you're dealing with life's ups and downs, it helps to know the ins and outs of insurance. Farmers Insurance has been sharing practical insurance knowledge for more than 89 years. At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Red, white, and blue savings at the Home Depot means the best prices of the season on new appliances, up to 40% off special buys. Like the Whirlpool White Top Load Washer and Electric Dryer, just $548 each, over $500 off the pair. We'll even toss in free delivery. When it comes to appliances, we're pushing all the right buttons. Red, white, and blue savings now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through July 11th, U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra free delivery on purchases of $396 or more.
Home is not just something you can see or touch. Home is a feeling. It's the place where you feel safe to have those little moments that mean everything. At ADT, we believe that feeling should always be there. Whether it's at your house or your business, we help keep you safe so you can have those moments that make you feel at home. Wherever you are.
All right, welcome to F-150 Radio. Today, the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar. Why? Eugene, go.
I think because Ford engineers always add new stuff, so the competition can't catch up.
Whoa, Eugene sounds like an expert.
Well, I got a store that sells exclusively bar-raising merchandise, like a calendar with an extra month.
An extra month?
Extrebuary. It has 32 days.
So you can appreciate the new 2018 F-150 raising the bar with available Bliss with trailer coverage. It monitors your trucks and your trailer's blind spots.
How about our new bar-raising poker chips? You can play with them or eat them. So,
The new 2018 F-150 raises the bar with auto start-stop, standard on all engines, and an available 10-speed transmission.
We have sandals with available built-in socks.
And we are out of time.
Huge in Oregon.
This is the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Driver assist features like Bliss are supplemental and do not replace the driver's attention, judgment, and the need to control the vehicle.
This is the National Defense.
Welcome back to the National Defense. Randy Miller with Eye Insights. It's a brand new segment from our friends at VSP Vision Care. Dr. Tim Jankowski is back with us again this week. Dr. Jankowski, how are you?
I'm doing great today.
You know, this is something that I'm glad we're talking about because in the heat of the summer, you tend to forget. You know, you get out in the sun, you're going to put some sunscreen on, some different things like that. But you hear a lot about UV rays, and I don't know if I even really know what those are. What are UV rays?
Well, first off, they come from the sun. The sun emits a lot of different types of rays, but the most critical ones that we have to worry about around the eyes, and the skin for that matter, is something called UVA and UVB, which are groups of specific wavelengths of ultraviolet light. They both can cause damage to the eyes and the skin.
Yeah, you know, I see that sometimes listed on different kinds of sunglasses. And how do you know? I mean, what kind of protection do you need for your eyes?
Well, first off, you need to choose protection, 100% blockage of both UVA and UVB.
Okay, both. Okay, right.
Yes. You also need to make sure that you select maybe some sunglasses that wrap around a little bit so that you can prevent leakage of sunlight around the edges. And always a great idea, particularly if you're out in the middle of the day, is to wear a hat to put your eyes in shade as well.
Oh, that's a good idea. So go out and get some blue blockers, and you're ready to go. If we're in the shade, then we're okay?
Well, yeah, you're a little bit okay, but not completely, because there is so much reflected light around that regardless of where you are outdoors, you should be wearing sunglasses all the time.
What about if you're a contact lens wearer? Can they provide protection? I mean, I don't know. Some of them are, different shades, different colors. Can those provide any kind of protection from the sun?
Well, some of them do, but you can't really count on them protecting 100% ultraviolet light protection. So even if you're wearing contact lenses that block ultraviolet light, it's important always to wear your sunglasses anyway.
Yeah, and I think people do kind of forget about that. You get out and you're having fun, and you're at a picnic, whatever you're doing, and if it's not bothering your eyes, and that's pretty much the common denominator for people, isn't it, Doctor? That if something is not currently bothering your eyes, you don't really think about it.
That's true of a lot of things, but and the eyes are taken for granted an awful lot, thinking they're always going to be there. But how well you protect your eyes early in your life and throughout your life, actually, will determine how well you see later in your life.
So even with little kids wearing sunglasses, how early should that start?
Well, I've got a grandson now that's 2.5 years old, and he's already wearing his sunglasses, and he loves them. He won't go outside without them. Yeah,
that's great. That's a good habit to start, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Anything else we should keep top of mind for the summer?
Well, it's going to be very obvious, but don't ever look directly at the sun. Looking directly at the sun at any time, even during an eclipse, can lead to something called solar retinopathy, which could really destroy your central vision and eliminate or could prevent you from ever seeing 20/20 again.
Wow. And that is one thing I think that most people know, but every once in a while you do see instances of somebody looking directly at the sun, and you go, have they not received the message? Have they, not staying on top of that? But that's something that's, kind of been common knowledge for a long time, right?
Well, I would hope so. And with the recent eclipse, despite that, there was a number of people that were looking at the sun, and there were a lot of injuries that had to be treated because of that.
And treated right away, I bet.
Yes, the sooner the better.
Well, Dr. Jankowski, thank you for sharing all of that with us today. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yes. VSP is currently a vision care carrier for hundreds of thousands of federal employees through a federal dental and vision insurance program. And great news for certain retired members of the uniformed services and their families, as well as most family members of active duty service men and women. They'll be offered vision care coverage beginning in January of next year. It's a little bit early still to be thinking about this, but in order to get on top of it, please go ahead and visit tricare.benefeds.com.
Yeah, that's exciting. tricare.benefeds.com. Dr. Jankowski, thank you so much for the time. We'll be back here next week with a brand new edition of Eye Insights from VSP Vision Care on the National Defense.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve, as they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Welcome to F-150 Radio, the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar. Dean, go.
I'm all about lowering the bar, like I only brush my teeth on Monday.
The new Ford F-150 lineup raises the bar by being number one in towing, payload, and torque. It can make you more capable.
Capable schmapable.
The new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
When properly configured, classes full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVW are based on Ford segmentation.
This is the National Defense.